Hey guys, this is EckhartsLadder. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars video. So, The Rise of Skywalker premiered last night, the red carpet premiere, the very exclusive one that is, and first reactions have been coming in since then. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about what people are saying, first reactions generally, and whether you, going into the movie, should be worried. So a few things first, half of this video will be mostly spoiler free, but after giving you guys some warning, the last little bit of the video will mention spoilers, but not super explicitly, so just keep that in mind. So let's talk about first reactions, and although I am a hardcore Star Wars fan, I'm not coming into this video with an agenda to push. Usually I will say first reactions, especially for TLJ and TFA, have been overwhelmingly positive and probably not representative of how fans would eventually come to feel about the movie. With that being said, in this case I would say reactions were still positive but a bit more mixed. I'll look at some specifically in just a moment, but I want to discuss that idea. Because first reactions are mixed, does that mean people generally won't like the movie? Well, I don't think so. I think it's important to remember the context that we're in now. We're in a post-TLJ era, a movie that was admittedly very divisive. I think people are going to be a little less willing to overlook major issues with the movie, and will be more critical and perhaps realistic off the start. I know a lot of people, even who are very critical of The Last Jedi now, gave it good reviews when it initially came out, and that's pretty natural as a non-jaded fan, or even as an excited fan. Let's be honest, after episode 7, the fandom was a lot more positive. There were some issues people had with the film, and there were certainly some detractors, but there wasn't the same divisiveness that there was now. And that's another thing to mention. Whether you're watching this video, reading people's analysis on Twitter or Reddit or whatever else, you have to keep in mind that pretty much everybody, whether unconscious or not, has a point to push. Me, I'm probably a little bit overly positive, even though I don't mean to be, just because I want Star Wars to do well and it's important to me. Overall though, based on my analysis, as I said, I think when you look at the totality of the reviews, the vast majority of them are positive, with a pretty good subsection of those being positive with reservations, but we've certainly seen more than any of the Disney era movies, perhaps Solo, being accepted that there also are those who are being critical, which by the way is totally fine. If I were to sum up a few of the main complaints, which is difficult but I'll do my best, they would relate primarily to, and I guess this is a spoiler so if you want to go in fresh, maybe click off now, the movie undoing a lot of what The Last Jedi did, the first act especially being the weakest one and perhaps a bit convoluted, and overall there just being a lot going on. Now arguably the undoing of TLJ won't be negative to a lot of people, and if you go through the reviews, a lot of the people who felt negatively about the film were actually proponents of Episode 8, so take from that what you will. Anyway, of all places, the subreddit Saltier Than Crate actually had a pretty fair collection of reviews, or should I say, first reactions, because reviews don't actually come out till later. And of the tweets mostly surveyed, there were 27 that I would classify as positive, 8 that were at least a little bit negative, and then 5 that were neutral. Now, positive can be anything from the film was good to the film was the best I've ever seen, and the reviews certainly run the gamut there, while negative could be everything from this is my least favorite Star Wars movie, as John Campea of all people said, to I'm really unhappy with how they retconned a lot of what happened in TLJ. But here's the main question and the topic of today's video. Does it matter? No, it really doesn't. I talked about this in one of my prior reviews for The Mandalorian, but what's important here is that you go into a movie with an open mind, and even if you've read all the leaks and read all the early reviews, that you decide for yourself. Now, doing things like reading reviews makes it more difficult, but you need to look at things pragmatically. If you look on Rotten Tomatoes, for example, both Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi are rated lower than The Last Jedi. Personally, I would disagree with that, and I think a lot of other people would be, which proves, as we all knew, that critic consensus doesn't necessarily reflect what fans want, and we see this all the time with art house style movies which fans don't enjoy, or in the other direction, action movies like Venom. But just to summarize, early reviews to me, especially when the fandom is in a difficult state, or on the other side a really positive state, aren't necessarily reflections of how audiences will treat the movie. Better indicators will only come later. Critical reviews will be slightly more important, but audience reviews and ultimately box office, I think, are the best indicators. For example, The Last Jedi had a strong opening weekend, but poor legs, which I think reflected a general unhappiness among a certain portion of fans with the movie. Even with all of that though, it's very hard to extract one movie from feelings about the rest of the trilogy, but what I will say is just relax, go in, try to have some fun, and try not to stress about it too much. At the end of the day, it's just a movie. Star Wars will be fine either way. Look at the positivity of The Mandalorian, or Jedi Fallen Order, or the upcoming season of The Clone Wars, or The Kenobi Show, or whatever else it is that you do enjoy, and see that there are still lots of really passionate fans. I mean, I would be a bit worried if the movie did terribly and made under $1 billion or something, which for any other franchise besides a few would be great, but we're not there yet. That doesn't mean you can't be happy with the direction that Star Wars is going personally, but I don't think we have to worry about Star Wars just ending anytime soon. I really hope not, because it's my job to talk about Star Wars, and I have a lot of Halo books that I'd have to catch up on if I were to change to talking about that. Regarding spoilers though, and guys, spoilers, click away if you don't want to be spoiled. Just one more second, click away. Alright, people seemed a little unhappy with how much sort of tracking around there is at the beginning of the movie, with Wayfinder after plot device, etc., but it seems like that does improve in the latter two acts. A lot of people seem frustrated too that Palpatine doesn't get as much backstory, and that he's kind of shifted to the center of the trilogy, which among some other choices lead some critics to say, as I mentioned, that it feels like a slap in the face to The Last Jedi. By the way, the leaks that have been around on Reddit are, as I predicted and many others predicted, true, but I've actually seen a lot less divisiveness about them than I expected, which to me is a positive sign, and kind of proof to the fact that leaks don't always give context to what a scene will be like in a movie itself. But that's all I have to say about that. Please try not to spoil anything down in the comment sections. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about the movie. Do you still feel positive? When are you seeing it? If you're not seeing it, why are you watching videos like this? Let me know all of that and more down in the comments. Anyway, until next time guys, this has been your host, EckhartsLadder. Have a great day, and may the Force be with you.